Sacramento Kings Summer League begins tomorrow in Las Vegas, and one of the guys that Kings fans are most excited to see, Maxime Raynaud, will be playing. I got the opportunity to sit down with his college head coach at Stanford, Kyle Smith, to talk about his journey through Stanford to the NBA. It's all right here on Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all offseason long. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports anchor and reporter for ABC 10 News. And one of my favorite parts of doing a podcast like this right after draft time is talking to the coaches of the players that the Sacramento Kings draft, because they give us more of an insight. We see kind of the surface level stuff, right? When we do research, we get the words of draft experts and we see the highlight reels, but talking to the coaches is where you get insight on what these players are like on a day-to-day basis, what they're like in the gym when the cameras are not on them. So I had the opportunity to speak to Nick Clifford's head coach, Ali Faroukmanesh, a couple weeks ago. And finally, I'm playing for you this conversation that I had with Kyle Smith. Now, I recorded this like a week or so ago, but then all of the Jonathan Kuminga stuff took off. So I've been holding on to this. I'm excited to play it for you. I did not want to wait any longer since Summer League is starting tomorrow. So here is my conversation with the Stanford Cardinal head coach, Kyle Smith, about Maxime Raynaud's journey to the NBA and what he was like as a college ball player. In the second round of the NBA draft, you're just hoping to strike gold, and the Kings felt like they have already with the draft of center from Stanford and also from France, Maxime Raynaud. Kyle Smith from the Stanford Cardinal basketball program, the head coach, the head man at the Stanford Cardinal basketball program, joins us to tell us a little bit more about this near 7'2" big man that is now here in Sacramento getting ready for Summer League. Coach, first and foremost, thank you for taking the time here, and congratulations on the phenomenal work that you've done with Maxime to get him to this spot. What was that moment like for you, seeing him drafted? And you can tell us better than anybody what the Sacramento Kings are getting in Maxime.
Well, it was a great opportunity just for him to see all the work he put in since he decided to stay at Stanford, that day and age. And he's a throwback. He did 4 years here. He's the embodiment of a student athlete, but also very much a Stanford guy. So to see him progress the way he had and then see how excited he was to be picked, and if you get a chance to be exposed to his parents, they are just the most wonderful, appreciative people, and they're so thrilled to be a part of his journey. And I think Sacramento did get a good one here in the second round.
Coach, the Kings seem to really like or not be deterred by older prospects. They also took Nick Clifford, who's a 5-year senior. If you go look back at previous Kings drafts, they prioritize guys who have been in college for at least a couple of years. I know these one and done 19, 20-year-old prospects that have a lot of upside and a long time in the league or projected time in the league are very, very exciting. But what do you think the benefit is, especially for you and your program, to have players that stay and develop for 3-4 years, not just to help your program win and succeed, but to also make them NBA ready?
Yeah, I think obviously with the NIL, you'll see more of this moving forward. I think guys will stay in. And when you're at that age group, especially for a big guy, a big guy that really dominates as a freshman, I have a name for those: pros. That's so normally, I think Maxine played 12 minutes or something as a freshman as a high major level. That's more on par. And then so not having to go to play in the G League or get tossed around at practice when you're a 19-year-old prospect. It's just, I think, a lot better to be with your peers on a college campus, have some fun, let them grow at their own pace. So we talk about this being a journey from adolescence to young adulthood. I just think you're going to be more ready for an 82-game schedule. The strength and conditioning are important. And then the number one thing I think is being a lead guy. And Maxime really wasn't the lead guy in this program until about halfway through his junior year, where they really started utilizing him and playing through him. And I think that's how you get good. In the senior year, his usage was really high, and he got to feel with that, to lead a team. I don't think that'll be his role in the NBA, and certainly not in his first year. But you guys also have another great 5-year guy that I coached, Isaac Jones. Mm-hmm. So I love Sacramento. They like our guys. It's great.
Maxime being from France originally, how did you discover him? What drew your attention about him? And then from day one that he stepped on your campus to day one or the final day, stepping off of it now to the NBA, what was the biggest change, transformation, growth of his game?
Well, I was coaching at Washington State. This is only my first year with Maxine at Stanford, but we did recruit him. And his coach reached out to me when I was at Washington State, and I saw him and just watched film. And I said, yes, so it was a blink test. If there are any Malcolm Gladwell people out there, the blink test was what this guy has a chance. Bouncy, could shoot it. And then I got to watch him, compete against him for 3 years and watch him develop. And so knew we had a chance going in, and even been doing it long enough, so many years, you could tell there was some NBA. He had NBA talent, size. He's bouncier than people think, and you could tell skill level, ability to put the ball in the basket. So having to get stronger, older, all those things, and you saw the progression year by year. And going into senior year, I know this. He was on the cusp last year, and no one going in there, I said, he's going to get a lot better. And he did. It was awesome.
To have a 7'2" guy shoot the ball 16 times a game, what was it about him that gave you the confidence, you said you gave him that green light and said, you're going to be a focal point of our offense. We're going to have you put the ball, 5.5 3-point attempts a game too, which really excites Sacramento Kings fans. What was it about him that made you say, hey, green light, Maxime, go out and score the basketball?
Well, I've been known to empower guys maybe a little too much. That's okay. We just don't want a skill set. We call them 6-tool players. We want guys that can dribble, pass, drive, and shoot, defend, and rebound. And to have those 4 skills at 7'1", 7'2" is amazing. He's really, I try to tell people, he's closer to Lauri Markkanen than he is, a big guy. He's somewhere in between that. He can do both. He can be a stretch 5, especially in today's game. That's very valuable. He's a pick and pop guy, but he also can bang corner threes and play high-low and be a form, and you're starting to see a little bit of a bounce back if you watch the playoffs where people will play with 2 bigs. So he's really unique talent, and like his ability to face up and drive guys off that is, we saw that. And so it was just encouraging him to get his usage up, and that's how you get good. And he eventually had to deal with all the double teams you get.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about too. You mentioned his ability to play with another big or these 2 big lineups, and Domantas Sabonis being here. One of the things that the Kings theoretically have been looking for a long time is, hey, another big that can help on the defensive end and then stretch the floor offensively. So it sounds like Maxime is a perfect fit for that. But what is where is his willingness, I guess, to adapt to whatever role that Coach Doug Christie and the Sacramento Kings ask him to do? How does he handle those and attack that versatility?
I think you've got a guy, like I said, that is kind of new to the game in a sense. He hasn't played a lot coming from France, coming over here. And if you're going to bet on people with really high character. They're really intelligent. And that's what you got in him. He's a computer science major, math minor. But he also has this, guys will get to know him. He has an incredible personality, he has great charisma, and he's a great leader, which is surprising, especially for a big guy. And he really leads with his heart. I call him a lover. He gets a lot of joy from other people's success. So I think he'll be a great ad that way. And he said, I want him to learn everything he can from Sabonis. I think Sabonis is such a tough nut and super skilled. And I saw Domantas, what he did at Gonzaga, and his development from being more a low post guy to be able to play on the floor and play with the dribble handoffs and the passing that's amazing. And Maxime has some of those things that can play together and hopefully learn from them as well.
Like I said at the top of the show, today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether it's all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get into the game while your friends are getting sunburned on the beach. Whether you're using FanDuel to track your favorite matchups, the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet and play every single day. It's easy to use. The payouts are very, very fast and makes every regular season game feel like a must-watch event. If you're placing a same-game parlay or riding a bet into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like you are part of the action. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So place $5 on the easiest bet you can find. Place $5 on the Colorado Rockies to lose. You'll more than likely get those $150 worth of bonus bets. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. You know, Coach, I personally love rim protection. I love the block shot stat. It's one of my favorite stats. It's one of the only things I could do on the basketball floor. I couldn't shoot, but I could try and defend the rim and block some shots. But of course, there's more to rim protection than just blocking shots. How would you assess Maxime's ability to protect the rim and even still areas where he can grow on that end? Because the Kings have been searching for rim protection for years. They're in desperate need of it.
No, he's got really good feet and he's got good length. And he's actually just having a big body around the rim. People think he got to block shots. And he wasn't allowed to block shots for us because we could not afford a foul. We played verticality and really slid over there. And he actually, a lot of his blocks were in guys' hands because he's got good feet and they turn and he's so big he could kind of get in their hand. But what his real strength is his ability to defensive rebound, which is, again, in a form of that's ending the possession in a way of rim protection is like eliminating second shot opportunities. He led the country in double doubles. He's one of the best defensive rebounders in the country. And I had to point out to some NBA guys, I said, look, they're like, oh, we're not sure. I said that rebound always translates and where he gets the rebound is important. He gets them well above the rim and just in traffic and in that part. So especially if you can play him as a power forward, I think he would eliminate some of those guys because he can move his feet and guard. Just size is the best indicator for being good defensively at all levels too. So King's always been kind of smallish and impossible to guard. So if you can find some guys like Maxime that can stretch the floor and is really polished offensive player, but add some size, that maybe that helps them as they move forward.
I imagine to some coaches, and certainly the players, the draft process drives them crazy because you have these talking heads like myself and draft analysts that are trying to break down these young men based off of film and very little amounts of time of actually watching them play, and certainly no time spending like on the court with them on a daily basis, which is why these conversations are so important. The primary criticism, I suppose, of Maxime's game is I guess the physicality side of things, and he needs to put on a little more pounds if he can. He might be pushed around a little bit on the block. What is your response to that as someone who's watched him grow and develop? And again, he's still not even close to his full maturity in terms of his body as well, but in terms of embracing physicality and being willing to do kind of the scrappy, dirty work down on the block.
No, he will do it. He'll take on whatever he's coached to do. And some of that's, like I said, that's weight room, that's nutrition, that's becoming a full pro. I know he did go to class. He was a real student. And I just think like I would bet on like I said, on the intelligent guy that you just tell him, hey, here are the expectations. And he's a high achiever. And if it says, hey, I need to get to 255, which I think he can comfortably do, or 250, in that range, he'll do what's necessary. Unless I said, I told him to get to cozy up to the Lithuanians. They understand physicality. I said, you're French. It's okay, but that's the next part of your game. But do you still have Valanciunas?
Yes, I was going to say Domas and Jonas.
Yeah,
they'll help
so he's got two great mentors, and like I said, and he'll do well if he has a a bodyguard by him too. That's not bad if he can play with those guys. He complements them really well too. So it's I've been pushing, advocating for more teams to play with the two posts because Isaac Jones, he's great too. It's okay to run horns with the 4 and 5 in there. There's nothing wrong with that. Those guys they're tough. They'll be on the glass, and Sabonis knows he did it at Gonzaga. So I'm advocating for both my guys, Isaac Jones and Maxime.
I'll tell you what, that's how Isaac Jones quickly made a name for himself in Sacramento, as he would attack the rim. And I know head coach Doug Christie fell in love with that too, because you see a lot of rookies that this was an issue with Keegan Murray specifically. They'd attack the rim and try for more finesse. Isaac Jones would just go through a guy and just try and dunk on him. So hopefully Maxime is the same way. But
I coached them both. I feel like you got all of Isaac Jones and Maxime too. So you guys should be. If you're tickled about Isaac, you'll be tickled about Maxime as well.
The fluidity, though, of Maxime, just watching him in film really excites me too, especially in pick and pop situations. The Kings are trying to figure out what they're doing with their point guard spot. They still have Malik Monk on this roster, and Malik was like their primary, with the exception of De'Aaron Fox, their primary kind of ball handler, played through the pick and roll, also loved to throw lobs a time or two when he could. But could you assess a little bit more, dive in a little bit more to Maxime's ability as his ability as a pick and pop guy, and how comfortable and how much he enjoys that element of the game?
Yeah, that was our end of clock situation. We put our two best players in the lot. And, with Jalen Blakes and him, we play a lot of pick and roll in the middle of the floor. And Jalen was good enough to draw two because he could get downhill. Mm-hmm. And he knew right away if the big was helping at all, he'd just reverse pivot, throw it back to Maxime. He'd have a shot. And then he's also really gifted. And this is 30 years of coaching. You can talk about teaching guys how to lift people in the air. He's gifted on the closeout to get people jumping, and he gets downhill right at, and he can finish. So, he's got a good feel for that. He's also, and we didn't utilize as much because our guards weren't lob. We didn't have great lob throwers. Mm-hmm. But he's in his previous years, he's really gifted at on the handoff stuff, and he'll read it. If his guy helps at all in the handoff, he knows how to. He'll pitch it, slip it, and they'll throw a pop fly. If they miss the tag, it's a dunk. And they had some good guys previously, and it was a hard part of the scout because he's really got a good understanding of that. So I think, and he's playing with better players, not to diminish our guys, but when you're with pros, right? I think he's got a good feel. He'll pick up on that stuff really quickly.
Well, the handoff stuff is music to, I think, all of our ears here in Sacramento, because that's such a foundation of Sacramento's offense through Domantas Sabonis. And I know one of the things they've been looking for, and Jonas Valanciunas, in the limited time that he was here last season, helped with this for sure. But Sabonis is such a unique player that when he's off the floor, the Kings almost had to change how they ran their offense because Sabonis is off the floor. So it sounds like Maxime, of course, we want to see him playing on the floor with Domas too, but it sounds like Maxime could handle those DHO and high post responsibilities that you see Domantas Sabonis handle.
Oh, absolutely. He'll be awesome at it. He'll be, like I said, I hope Sabonis takes him under his wing and shows him what to do. And I do think, I've got some guys coach that there'll be more spacing, even though you got longer, exceptional athletes. So a lot of the backdoor stuff is a little more available. When you got incredible cutters and guys that really, come get the ball and stop behind and then play hands and stuff like that. And I think they'll enjoy it. And I think everyone will be a little surprised by how good he is at that.
Well, Coach, finally, I mean, you're, of course, going to be so focused on the next chapter of Stanford basketball and next season. But, I mean, you're just down the road a little bit. How much are you going to be paying attention to Kings basketball, Maxime? And can we hope to see some Purple Kings jerseys on campus every once in a while now that Maxime is here in Sacramento?
We'll have what do you mean? It's about a 2.5 hour drive. I'll make the trip up to light the beam, baby.
There you go.
I got two guys there. So, no, it's neat to have him close to home too, because he's got a good group of friends here, and then he can come back and watch us practice, and he's just a great role model for our guys, and he's really into seeing our program thrive, and we want to see him thrive in Sacramento as well.
Well, I'm sure you know this. There's a French big man in the NBA that's taken the league by storm. So the Sacramento Kings got themselves one now, and I think they're following the right trend. Coach Smith, thank you so much for taking the time. Good luck this season at Stanford. Again, congratulations, the great work that you and your program did with Maxime. And the Sacramento Kings are looking forward to reaping the rewards of your guys' hard work. So we appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Before we wrap up, I know we're still a ways away from the start of next season, but the NBA released the groups for next season's NBA Cup, the in-season tournament. And the good news is the Kings might be in the easiest group, not just in the Western Conference, but in the entire NBA Cup. The bad news is it might be the easiest group for the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Sacramento Kings landed in West Group A, with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Oklahoma City Thunder, Phoenix Suns, and Utah Jazz. The Suns, not very good, we expect. The Jazz, really bad, we expect. Minnesota, a playoff team, so could give them them being the Thunder, the biggest run for their money. And then the Kings, as we know, are just kind of mid. So I'm not saying Sacramento doesn't stand a chance in their group. They absolutely do. In fact, a couple of years ago when the NBA Cup was born and the Kings, well, it was 3 years ago when the Kings had their playoff season, when they won their group, Thunder were in that group and they defeated Oklahoma City without De'Aaron Fox. That was a game that De'Aaron Fox was injured. Now, that was 3 years ago. The Thunder are defending champions, and I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. So I don't have too much faith for the Sacramento Kings making it out of this group, but that's what's fun about the NBA Cup. The other groups, just so you're curious, West Group B is the Dallas Mavericks, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the New Orleans Pelicans. Having the Mavs, Lakers, and Clippers in the same group is going to be interesting. And then West C, this group is really, really interesting. Denver Nuggets, Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets, San Antonio Spurs, and Portland Trailblazers. I don't think there's a bad team in that group. Anybody could win that group, to be honest with you. I guess I'd pick the Houston Rockets to win it, but that's a really, really difficult group. Then we go over to the East Group A, the Atlanta Hawks, Cleveland Cavaliers, Indiana Pacers, Toronto Raptors, and Washington Wizards. Cleveland better come out of that group, especially with the Pacers not having Tyrese Halliburton. East Group B, Boston Celtics, Brooklyn Nets, Detroit Pistons, Orlando Magic, Philadelphia 76ers. I like that group a lot. I think Orlando, Detroit, and Boston could all you can make an argument for all three of them to come out of that group. I'm not a big believers in Brooklyn and Philly yet. And then East Group C, this group is, it should be the New York Knicks group to win. Charlotte Hornets, Chicago Bulls, Miami Heat, Milwaukee Bucks, and the New York Knicks. And the tournament begins on Halloween, October 31st. So those will be the first NBA Cup games this upcoming season. So again, one more time, the Kings group. It's the Kings, the Utah Jazz, the Suns, the Timberwolves, and the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder. If you're going to ask me right now, sorry, pessimistic Matt George says the Kings will not make it out of their group. When the schedule is released, we'll have a better idea of how these group games are going to go, which ones will be away, which ones will be home. I always I like the NBA Cup. I think it adds like a fun flair, a fun level of interest to the beginning of the season. And it's probably the only thing the Kings have a chance of winning this season, if we're being completely honest with you. It's the only hardware that they're going to have a chance at this year. So go for it, Kings. I'm excited about it. But let me know your thoughts on Maxime Raynaud, my conversation with Coach Smith, your thoughts on the NBA Cup, what you're most excited about to see in Summer League that begins tomorrow in Las Vegas. Hit me up at MattGeorgeSack on Twitter. Email me, mattgeorgesports@gmail.com, and leave your thoughts in the YouTube comments section down below. As you can hear in the voice, I apologize. I'm still dealing with this illness. I've been battling this thing for 2 freaking weeks. It's driving me nuts, but I'm trying to fight through it. Appreciate your guys' support, and sorry that I sound so nasally and so awful. But hopefully I'll get out of it very, very soon, and we'll be back to normal by at least the start of next season, for God's sake. Talk to you soon. I'll see you on the next episode of Locked On Kings. Until then, my name is Matt George. You've been listening to the Locked On Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.